So we'll go ahead and get started. Again, my name's Kylie Gottschalk. I'm one of the admissions counselors, and we're really excited you're all here joining us tonight to learn more about speech, debate, and mock trial. So again, please introduce yourself in the chat box with your hometown, year in school, and any academic or personal interests you have, just to get us started so we can kind of see where everybody's coming from and who's all joining us tonight. So while you're doing that, just want to introduce again, I am one of the admissions counselors at Simpson, and then we have Spencer and Deano on the call as well, and I'll let them introduce themselves. Start with Spencer.
Hi, my name is Spencer Waugh. I'm the director of the speech, debate, and mock trial programs. Deano?
And I'm Deano Pape, and I'm the assistant director, and I teach in the multimedia communication department.
Great, thank you. So we'll go ahead and get started with agenda. So tonight I'll give you some general admissions information, just some basic info, which some of you that have been on the other calls so far probably have gotten this information already, but some of you might be your first time joining us. So I want to make sure you have that general admissions information. Then we'll let Spencer and Deano talk more about the speech, debate, and mock trial at Simpson. And then we'll give you all a chance to ask questions. And at the end, you can ask questions by typing in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask a question over the audio. But anytime you have a question throughout this presentation, feel free to type it in the chat box, and we'll make sure to answer it at the end. So anytime something pops up in your mind you want to ask, just type it and we'll get to it at the end. But do want to remind you all also, please mute yourself. That is the button, the little microphone. Make sure to mute yourself just so we have no background noise and can make sure that this is the most smooth and seamless presentation as possible. So on to admissions information. So just some basics about Simpson. We have about 1,200 full-time undergraduate students on campus and about a 12-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So you really do get that one-on-one personal relationship with your professors, and you know, those professors that know your name, care about your future and your interests, and are really invested in your education and your career at Simpson. And we also have over 80 majors, minors, and pre-professional programs, and some really excellent internship programs and opportunities that set you on an early path for success. About 85% of our students complete at least one internship while at Simpson. Many complete 2 or 3 internships throughout their entire time at Simpson. So really gives you that hands-on work experience to combine with everything you're learning in the classroom. Also, about 99% of our graduates were employed or in graduate school within 6 months of graduation. So Simpson's academic and extracurricular activities really put you on a path to success. And you know, whatever your goal is after graduation, whether you want to continue being in school or find a job, we have a really high success rate with placement in careers and in grad school. And then lastly, 100% of our full-time students receive financial aid. So we have a merit-based scholarship that is based on your GPA, in addition to other special interest scholarships and things like that, that you really can bring down that cost of tuition for you. But 100% of our students do receive financial aid in some way. So we're really committed to making private liberal arts education affordable for you all. So what should you do next? And some of you may be in varying points in the process of, you know, admissions at Simpson. But if you haven't, send your FAFSA to Simpson College. Make sure that we get that and we have that on file so we can create a financial aid award for you, so you can find out what scholarships, grants, loans, all those kinds of things that you're eligible for. And the next step after that would be to set up a meeting with your admissions counselor, either to talk about your financial aid or just to talk about admissions in general. If you're still on the fence, still deciding where you want to go, you can set up a Zoom with us at any time. We have individual Zoom visits that you can schedule with your counselor. So if you also want to meet with faculty or meet one-on-one with someone in an extracurricular activity like speech, debate, and mock trial, you can also do that over Zoom as well. So we're really trying to, you know, meet you all where you're at during this very challenging and different time that we're going through right now in the world. So we still want to make sure you all get the information from us that you need. And so individual Zoom visits are how we're doing that, in addition to these group visits. So really encourage you all. You can do that on our website, simpson.edu/visit, and you can set that up as well. And then lastly, paying your deposit. So paying your enrollment deposit will give you access to the online portal, SC Connect, which will give you access to the housing survey and also more information about orientation, which we call SOAR. And you'll be able to choose one of those dates. SOAR is totally online now. And so it's going to be a totally virtual orientation experience, but you'll still be able to meet with your academic advisor, schedule classes and all that kind of stuff. So there'll be more information coming out on that later. But paying your deposit kind of starts that process. So that is another step everyone should take. And additionally, you should attend our other virtual visits. So this week we have campus life and student activities. We had one yesterday, Tuesday at 11 a.m. And then we have another one of campus life and student activities tomorrow at 7 p.m. So if you're interested in learning more about the student organizations and clubs on campus, definitely attend that one. And then also next week we have academic resources such as, you know, the tutors in the library, the writing coaches, all the academic resources that are available to our students free of charge. You can learn more about that. We also have civic engagement. So if you're interested in public policy, politics, international relations, anything like that, definitely attend civic engagement next week. And then the next week after that, academic advising, which we did do in March. So that's another option to learn more about that. They'll talk about online SOAR, the virtual SOAR that will be happening during that virtual visit. And then we also have for juniors and below, Finding Your Right Fit, a guide to your college search. So that's really helping you figure out your values and what's important to you when picking a college. So if you want to learn more about that, join that. And then also we have religious life. So we have a very robust religious life community on campus for students who are interested in that. And we will have Mara Bailey be talking more about how to get involved in that on campus. And then at the end of May, for students who are juniors and below, we have a financial aid 101 to kind of understand more about financial aid and paying for college. And also make sure you're following us on social media. So we post a lot of updates on social media just to keep you all aware of what's going on, how we're responding to the COVID-19, and, you know, with examples like taking SOAR online, more virtual visits like this to give you more information about specific, you know, groups on campus, specific activities, specific things that are important to you to know before you get to campus in the fall. So make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. All of the former group virtual visits, the Explore Simpson series, are on YouTube. So if you find us on YouTube, we do have a whole section specifically for the Explore Simpson series. So you can watch all of these. They are recorded, so you can watch them again, or if you missed one, you'll be able to get that information. And we are using the hashtag #OneSimpson. So if you do post about Simpson on social media, you know, posting that you're excited to join us in the fall, any kind of post regarding Simpson, make sure you use that hashtag so we can see who's all in that conversation. Perfect. So I will now pass it over to Spencer and Deano to talk more about the speech, debate, and mock trial program. Oh, you might be muted.
Thank you so much. First of all, I just want to welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight to learn a little bit more about the speech, debate, and mock trial program. I'm going to start with an overview. And for a few of you, this will be review, but then we're going to get into, I guess, a little bit more of the nitty gritty. But then most importantly, we're going to open it up for you to ask some questions, maybe interact with a little bit with each other as well. I think most importantly, is that Simpson offers a comprehensive speech, debate, and mock trial program. And what that means for you as a student is that regardless of where you are right now, because I know we have people on this call right now, and I'm not going to point out who you are, but we have students on this call right now who've never done anything having to do with speech, debate, or mock trial. And we also have students who have significant 4 years worth of experience. But regardless of where you are, you can come to Simpson and jump right in, because we are the only private institution in the state that has a comprehensive program. We offer 18 different speech events, 6 different debate events, and 2 semesters worth of mock trial. And if you're on scholarship, you can choose semester by semester which of the 3 you want to do to meet your scholarship requirement. So it's a really unique program that way. And while we would love for you to go out into the world and go out into the competition world and earn tons of trophies. That's not the goal of our program. We want you to be able to look back after 4 years of competitive experience and see what you've done in the program and be able to put that on your resume and really be able to say that it is because of my experience in speech or in mock trial or in debate. And it is because of that experience that I was able to get into the graduate school I wanted to because of the skills that I developed. Or it's because of that experience that I was the best person in the interview room and I was able to get that job. And so it is my job and Deano's job and the other coaches that we have in the program to help you build those skills that's going to set you apart as a Simpson graduate. And Deano and I could give you tons and tons of examples of students who've done just that. And so because we're a comprehensive program and we do allow anybody to join, regardless of whether you have 4 years of experience or you're brand new to this activity, we believe it can be truly a life-changing experience. We're going to talk a little bit more about travel and a few other things, but I want to really hand it over to Deano right now, who's going to talk about the speech side of things, and he's talk a little bit about the events that we offer, and then I'll rejoin you in a second and talk about some of the debate events. Deano?
Thank you, Spencer. So we have 11 standard events that we participate in throughout the year that every tournament offers. And so I'll mention those briefly, and I'm more than happy to delve into the specifics for those of you who have specific questions about it, especially if you come from a high school background and are wondering what the differences are between high school and college. I'm going to group them into 3 different categories. The first is the oral interpretation of literature. In some cases, depending upon the high school and the program, it might have been some of the acting categories that would be included here. That's dramatic interpretation, duo interpretation, poetry, prose. And you see on there POI, which stands for Program of Oral Interpretation, which is a combination of 2 of the 3 of drama, prose, and or poetry. And what happens with Program of Oral Interpretation is you have to construct an argument, your own original argument, and then use literature in order to support your claim in the introduction. All of the introductions for all of these performances are original. They are arguments for why we should be listening and engaging in that particular choice of literature. And if you have 2 different partners, you can actually do 2 different duo interpretations. I love getting first years involved in duo, and Kylie can tell you about her experience with duo. She's had a number of duo partners here over her 4 years. It's one of my favorites for students to get involved in, and it gives you somebody else to rely upon. And if you're afraid to jump into this realm, perhaps you're a debater or a public address student. I've also converted some debaters into duo participants. Sometimes an excellent debater can, provide sort of a counter perspective to an overly dramatic student who might bring the really dramatic flair to a duo interpretation. So all of those are 10 minutes in length. And again, I'm happy to give you specific examples depending upon what your interest areas are. The next 2 that are listed in the second category of events are limited preparation. This is extemporaneous speaking and impromptu speaking. And usually when I mention extemp and impromptu, I'm accustomed to seeing instant reactions from the prospective student. Either, yeah, let's talk about that, or I don't want to go anywhere near those events. Those sound terrifying, and I would never try those. Especially when it comes to impromptu, you have about 1.5 minutes to prepare to give a speech for 5.5 minutes based upon the prompt that you're given. And so that's sort of the green beret of the events. For those who are brave enough to try, which actually there's a great way and a great method that I incorporate in order to get you feeling very comfortable and engaged with impromptu from the very beginning, even if you don't have a lot of experience. And then extemporaneous speaking is really current event speaking. You are given 30 minutes to prepare. You choose 1 of 3 questions, and it's all about current events. Politics, international relations, and economics are those areas. And then I'm going to talk specifically about duo improv for just a moment. Duo improv is not offered at every tournament that we attend, but there are several tournaments that we go to that offer duo improv. Again, this is a really accessible event. It's a lot of fun for students. You get to pair off with somebody. You get to invent a whole scene based upon the prompts that are given to you. And so it's great fun. One of the tournaments that we go to, we had back-to-back champions at that tournament in duo improv. And we had a finalist in that event this year at that same tournament. So I encourage you to talk to me about duo improv if you're really into that. The last four consist of that third category that I was talking about, and that's your public address events: informative, persuasion, communication analysis, and after dinner speaking. And I think informative and persuasion are probably fairly self-explanatory. I'll mention the other two just briefly. Communication analysis, you take some kind of a communication activity or event or phenomenon and you analyze it. And so it's actually great fun to work with. It sounds intimidating, and it's definitely one of the more academically challenging events. But if you can do a good CA, you can be a champion at every tournament if you have an excellent communication analysis. And the last one, after dinner speaking, is a fun one. I think we had 6 different students this year do after dinner speeches, if not more. After dinner speaking is a funny speech. In which you still have a serious speech topic, but the humor offsets the rigor of that particular topic. So if you have a good sense of humor and you're willing to be coached in it, I'm more than happy to work with you in after dinner speaking. So those are the collection of all of the events that we work with, plus there are others like interviewing that are offered at several different tournaments. I also coach Ethics Bowl, and I can answer some questions about that, where you look at things you look at a set of case studies and analyze them from a moral ethical perspective. The reason I bring all of these up is because we really do have something for everybody. And if you've never done that activity before, even if you have debate experience, for example, or you're really an interpreter, I encourage you to consider adopting some of the other events. It is possible for you to try all of the events and even do multiple events in speech while still participating in other things. And I'm sure that's one of the things that Kylie will talk about, is how you can balance a strong academic program as well as multiple speech events, as well as music and other activities on campus if you want to participate in those. So Spencer, do you want to do the debate events and then we'll turn it over to Kylie? You have to turn on your microphone, sir. Sorry.
I was following the instructions by keeping my microphone off, and then I forget. So you coached somewhere else before coming to Simpson, and I would love for you just to weigh in what your favorite part is about coaching in a comprehensive program like ours.
Oh yeah, the program that I coached with before, which was terrific. It was a similar kind of institution to Simpson, but it was a much smaller program, a much smaller team. And I was wondering how it would feel to move from a program of about 10 or 12 students, which eventually I got up to 20 students, and I thought that was a really big team. And then when we look at the first meeting here at the beginning of the year, and we have 80 students coming to one of the opening sessions, and we bring a charter bus of students, of 30 to 35 students to the first tournament, it's really an incredible experience. But I, for one, think it's a marvelous opportunity. We get a chance to coach students from the very beginning. So if you've never done these events before, I can coach you from beginning to end to success, and to share your voice and your passion. But I can also take a student who has a lot of experience, maybe even competitive National Speech and Debate Association experience, and you could become a national champion at the college level as well. We have crowned many national champions over the years at Simpson College. And so I love it because I find that success really comes as a result of students working hard, working with their coaches, and finding things that they really love to do. I could sort of take you and give you an event, and you may or may not love it, but if you're really talented, you could probably find success. And I have certainly played that game before, but it's much more fulfilling, and it's much better educationally for you to identify things that you love to do and you really want to speak on and be passionate about, and find a way to identify that voice and exercise that voice. And we do that through one-on-one coaching. Even though we have a national reputation and national success, I will work with each and every one of you in very small groups to start off with, and then eventually you will have your own coaching time slot where I can work with you one-on-one to craft your events and facilitate that growth of those events. And so you'll have a lot of individual attention. Just like you do in the classroom, as Kylie mentioned earlier, you're going to have a lot of individual growth and success as well in speech.
So on the debate side, the events are listed there for you. And for the students who've done debate before, public forum debate is exactly like high school public forum. I think the only thing I'd mention here for students who are brand new to debate is that the judge is a regular person, sort of a lay person, like a librarian or someone who doesn't necessarily know a lot about debate. And so the arguments in public forum should be accessible to an audience member or a regular community member. And so in this particular style of debate, the topic only changes at the semester turn. And so for this one, students who like to go a little bit deeper into a topic, they tend to like this style of debate. It's very accessible. And so I really do like it when students who've never done debate before, this is a really good one for them to start off with. The second one there that's listed is Lincoln Douglas debate. And students who've done high school Lincoln Douglas often want to try this one because it has the same name. It is absolutely, it shares nothing in common with high school Lincoln Douglas, except that the timing is similar and that it's a one-on-one style. Other than that, it's much more similar to high school policy debate. And this one has a much harder learning curve. And so if students have never done debate before, unless they're particularly passionate about learning it, this is not one I generally steer students towards. I do see the names on the students who are joining us, and we do have 4 or 5 people on the call right now who are definitely going to be doing this because they were high school policy debaters. Parliamentary debate is a lot of fun because it's limited preparation style, which means the topic is different every time you debate. And so you have 20 minutes after getting the topic announced and you work with a partner and then you debate that topic. This is great for students who follow the news and know a lot about a lot of things about a lot of topics. For high school debaters who are used to carrying a heavy research burden, they often tell me this feels like they're cheating almost because they never have to research a topic heavily. This is a great style of debate for students who don't have a lot of extra time in college but love the thrill of argumentation. IPDA is very similar to parliamentary, but it's a one-on-one style. Student Congress is a mock student legislature, and unfortunately, it's only offered at our national tournament, but we still need to find students who enjoy doing this because one of our goals when we go to the national tournament is to fill all of our debate slots. We do return to Dallas, Texas next year for the national tournament, where we'll be trying to defend our national title from New York last year. And it's one of those areas where students don't get a chance to practice it a lot during the course of the year, but we definitely need competitors to fill that spot. World Schools debate, Deano, I'll let you jump in and maybe just say a word about that because you successfully coached our World Schools team last year, and then we'll let Kylie jump in and talk a little bit about what it's been like being a 4-year member of the team.
Yeah, I really enjoy World Schools. It is a parliamentary style, which means it's limited preparation. So you have a limited period of time, but what I like about it is that there are 4 different schools competing all at the same time. So there are 8 debaters going back and forth. And it's a resolution that you have to debate on its merits and on its values and in the wording of the resolution. So I really enjoy that. I also enjoy the fact that after the end of the round, the judges have to confer with each other and they have to agree upon how the decision is made with regard to how the debate unfolds. So it's, and then I also like is that the debaters then have a chance to evaluate the critics and the top critics get a chance to evaluate the final round. So there's a lot of cool give and take. It's very accessible. You do not talk quickly in this format. Style and humor and substance are all variables in the equation. And so I encourage you to consider jumping in and doing some World Schools debate. And it's named because it has a World Schools national or international championship, I should say. And so therefore there are schools all around the globe that participate in it. If you've done some in high school, it is a little bit different in terms of the format, and I'm happy to answer those kinds of questions, but that's more of the nuances of the activity. So I'm going to turn it over to Kylie now to talk about it from a student perspective. Kylie.
Hey everyone. So I have done speech and debate for 4 years now. I mostly do the speech side. So I've done dramatic interp, duo interp, prose, poi mostly. I've done duo improv a little bit. And I did World Schools debate at 2 different national tournaments. And I'm a double major with accounting and music with an arts management minor. So I definitely am very busy all the time. And that's something when I was coming into college, why I really liked Simpson was because of the speech and debate program. Because I did speech in high school and I also did a lot of theater and stuff, but I knew I wasn't gonna have time for theater at a like collegiate level. So I really got to dive into the speech side, and it's nice with both like speech and debate. You can put in as much or as little time as you want. So if there's a week or a few weeks where you're super swamped, you can just go to your private coachings, go to the week practices, and that's just a couple hours out of the week. And then when it slows down, you can put more time into it then as well. And you know, I've really enjoyed going to all of the tournaments. I've gone to as little as 1 a semester to up to like 5. So it's really flexible with as much that you want to do with it. I've been able to do a lot of different topics and stuff with speech. I've done things that are a little more dark. I've done things with like abducted kids and abused kids, and I've been able to do some lighter stuff and do some DIs with stand-up comedy. Been able to work in some literature from a fantasy novel, and pretty much anything and everything you can kind of think of, you can put into your pieces. And Deano's always great. I always go up to him and I'm just like, okay, you're gonna kill me, but this is the lit that I want to use. And he always rolls his eyes at me, but then it all comes together at the end. So it's a lot of fun. But, yeah, is there anything else you wanted me to talk about?
Your academic majors and you know, balancing with music, maybe how you feel like you've been able to balance with such a busy schedule.
Yeah. So part of it is I kind of thrive on being busy, so that's a lot of it. But yeah, so with music, I play piano, so a lot of times with that I'd be practicing 2 or 3 hours every day, on top of homework, on top of friends, and speech and debate and everything too. So you definitely have to figure out what your limits are. Like this last fall, I was doing my senior recital, so I backed off more at speech and kind of everything else to really focus on that. And then once that was done, I really got to dive in to this last semester with speech. I went to most tournaments this spring, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, it's really kind of about with everything having to know yourself, and the further you get into college and stuff, you really get to figure out what your limitations are and what you can handle. And so it's just kind of about prioritizing and knowing which assignments that you need to do right away, which things you need to study for, because that is why you're going to school. But then also how you can balance that with the fun stuff that helps round out your education. So.
Okay, we'll turn it over to Spencer. Are you ready to open it up to questions, Spencer, or do you have a couple of other comments? Don't forget to turn on your microphone.
Perfect. Perfect. So Spencer, are you going to talk about travel and tournaments now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So we've got a couple slides about this. Just it's sort of the backbone of what we do is we allow, not that Indianola isn't wonderful, but it gives the students a chance to get out of Iowa. And if you take a look here, because as I mentioned in my introduction, we don't do a lot of travel in Iowa. Simpson is the only private institution in the state with a comprehensive speech and debate program, which means in order for us to find our competition, we have to get out and about. And you'll see that next year's travel schedule has us headed south down into Missouri quite a bit. We get up north quite a bit. And then our national, we get into Illinois a little bit, and then our national tournament takes us down to Dallas, Texas. And we're really excited about that. Our national tournament has taken us out west and out east. We've been to New York City. We were supposed to be in California this past year, but we've also been to Tennessee and Idaho. And Deano, where else have we been? You're muted. Yep.
Yeah. You mentioned New York. I sometimes get it confused because of where I travel for recruitment, because I've traveled all over the country and doing recruiting trips. And so we brought students from all over the country to Simpson to participate in speech and debate. But yeah, we do have national exposure. We go wherever nationals is. Obviously, our team was very disappointed, as everybody's team was this spring. But we were really looking forward to going to San Diego and being able to participate out there and fly the whole team out and get a big charter bus and all of that. But we go wherever nationals goes. I know Spencer will talk a little bit more about this, but I think it's important that everybody recognize that Simpson does pay for all of your travel and the expenses that are associated with travel. So we pay for your hotel, and we pay for your food, and we pay for your transportation and event entry fees and all of those things. So it is a very well supported program on campus. And we're really, really proud to say that the trustees and the president and the dean and others on campus are incredibly supportive of the program.
Yep. And that's what I was gonna mention, was that when you travel with the team, you do not need to be worried about any expenses. I think we're at a point where we can and we should open it up to any questions that people have. I know we've answered a few of the Zoom group chat questions as we've gone through.
Yep. Yeah, so just to reiterate, I'll go over them again. So just in case no one saw them, but a student asked, are there any major differences between world schools and at the high school and college levels? And Deano answered that in the chat if you want to look at that. And then we also had a question about how many events as a scholarship student do you need to participate in to maintain your scholarship? And Spencer answered it saying 1 tournament per semester, 1 debate event, or 2 speech events. And we're getting some other questions in here, so I'll make sure to read them off. So we have, is it possible to do debate events and speech events?
Okay, I'll take that one. That's a really good question. We actually encourage that, and it's sort of what we mean by we're a comprehensive program. We would like our students to do both. It's not required. We have some debaters who are very resistant to the idea of speech events, and we have some speech students who are resistant to the idea of trying debate. Our favorite students, and Deano, we don't really have favorites, but we do have a few favorites, don't we? Are the students who dabble in both. And so, yes, we try to pick tournaments where our craziest students could do, and I'll use the Gorlock, which is my favorite tournament. This is a tournament we go to down in San Diego, and we leave, not San Diego, oh gosh, St. Louis. We go down to St. Louis every year. We leave on a Thursday and we come back on a Sunday night. And students can do 2 debate events and 6 speech events at that tournament. it is the best indicator of how nationals is going to go for us. And so it runs a schedule that's very similar to the national tournament. And so not only can you do both debate and speech events, we encourage you to. And so, yeah, our craziest students by nationals will have 2 debate events ready and 6 speech events ready to go. Deano, would you add on to that?
Yeah, and I can answer the one about how do you qualify for nationals at the college level. Actually, there are different national organizations and different qualifying standards for those. Because Pi Kappa Delta is the National Honor Society for Speech and Debate at the college level, and because there are so many different events, you don't qualify for nationals in the same way as you do at, say, NSDA nationals. And it is because there are too many different event standards and qualification standards, because each of the different kinds of events have different qualification standards based upon their host organization. So because we go to a comprehensive nationals, we actually are allowed to take any students who are members of Pi Kappa Delta. And we can talk more about how that all gets done later. But essentially, any student who wants to participate in the national tournament and who's committed to and does the minimum requirement to be able to attend nationals will have the opportunity to go to nationals.
Awesome. And then we have, what is the maximum amount of events we can enter in one tournament?
And Spencer answered this one. This is the 6 in speech and 2 in debate. There are different standards for different tournaments. Some of them have as few as 2. You're maxed out at 2 speech events. It's more common to take somewhere between 4 and 6. Now, just because you can take 6 does not mean you should, or that it is even a good idea to do so. I need to point that out. Quite frankly, I would rather have you take 2 or 3 good events than 6 events that are bad, because if you finish last in every round, that does not benefit us. So, so sometimes students are going, I want to start with 17 things. And it would be great if you wanted to do 17 things, but we need to start with 2, maybe 3, and get you going. And then as you feel comfortable, then you can always add on more as time goes on.
Did you guys answer the question about qualifying for nationals at a college level?
Yes.
We did. Okay, great. So then the next question after that is going to be, when is the first speech and debate tournament?
Okay, that actually has 2 different answers. For our debaters, for our LDers, their first one is mid-September, but for most of the team, it's that first weekend in October.
Okay. And another question that we have, does Simpson go to NFA or AFA or different organizations nationals?
And I'll take this one because I've coached NFA and AFA teams before. We actually do Pi Kappa Delta nationals. AFA also sponsors the NDT. We do not do team policy debate. That's sort of a universe on its own. And I have coached students to AFA NIET, which is their National Individual Events Tournament. Because we're a comprehensive team and because of the qualifying nature of AFA, we do not participate in AFA. However, we do occasionally take students to NFA as well as Pi Kappa Delta. NFA's qualification standards are really pretty simple. You just need to make it to a final round in that event at some time during the year. Because they sponsor Lincoln Douglas debate, we also will send students to NFA nationals to participate in LD. So the answer to that is yes. Frequently we will go to NFA, but we don't send everybody. We send select students to NFA nationals.
Okay. Another question here. How many tournaments are we allowed to go to?
I'll take that one.
Go for it.
So we have students that attend all of them. And it kind of depends, I would say, on how busy, how full your academic load is. Most tournaments don't have an entry cap, meaning we can bring as many students as we have. And so really we let students self-regulate. Oftentimes we have a few students, especially first-year students, who are very excited at the very first meeting that we put all of the sign-up sheets out for, and they will sign up for all of the tournaments. And Deano and I both know that they haven't gotten all of their assignments from all of their classes yet. And we let them sign up for all of the tournaments, knowing that in 2 weeks they'll be back and they will have to cross their names off some of those tournaments. And so you can go to as many tournaments as you would like to. We have a budget that allows for that. But usually it's more of a question, how many can you time-wise and academic-wise afford to balance with your busy lives and still stay sane?
Okay, great. Let's see, another question that we have here is there a conflict to do speech and debate and athletics? Oh,
sorry, I did it that time. There are occasionally conflicts. What's really nice about it is that we have a flexible enough travel schedule because we only have the requirement of a minimum of 1 per semester. And because we sometimes have students who study abroad, and we encourage you to do that, participate in study abroad programs. And because of the nature of the different kinds of athletic programs and when their seasons are, we always work with you so that if at all possible, we want you to be able to participate fully in the life of the athletic event as well as in the speech event. We have the same issue with theater as well and music, and we all play well together and we coordinate with each other, and we just need to have a good dialogue so that we're not caught in an awkward situation where you have a big game or you have the main stage theater production that's in conflict with a tournament that you had signed up for. So if you're going to participate in those kinds of activities, which are weekend activities, which is when most of our tournaments are, you just have to be really smart about how you coordinate, and you need to be very communicative with Spencer and I, and we need to make sure that we have a good schedule set up. The only thing that we really can't control is nationals and when nationals is. And so there may be a choice that has to be made there if in the event that you're doing a spring sport, or maybe you do a fall theater production instead of the spring one, depending upon what the conflicts are. We just have to take a look at all of the schedules and work with you, but just know that we will work with you. Pretty much anything we can work with, except for nationals, because again, that's our really big tournament for the year for participation.
All right, and the last question is, do all events run the full school year, or is there a different schedule for some events?
Yeah, that's a good question. Especially, I know we have several students on here that come from states where they run debate one semester and forensics or speech the other semester. All of our events run the entire academic year, and so they'll kick off right when we get started at the end of August, and we'll wrap up when nationals happens, usually in mid-March or early April, depending on when NFA wraps up. So it's a long season, but it does run pretty much the entire academic year. That's a good question.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any other questions? You can type them in the chat box, unmute yourself if you want to ask them. Last chance if you have any. These were great questions, so thanks both for engaging and asking really good questions about the program.
One more real quick.
Yeah.
So I know for next season's LD resolution that they've released 3 potential resolutions and they've got the topic area picked out. When do they normally have the official decision made on that?
Deano, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm doing this from memory. It's usually July 1st.
I think it's August 1st.
Is that so? Because we're voting in July. July 1st is when the ballot comes out, right?
I believe so, and then August 1st has historically when the resolution officially is released. I believe.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good question.
Yeah. Anybody else?
And we will release that to everybody. And then Kylie, if I could, I've just got a couple of closing words.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since there are so many of you that that I know are going to be on the team in the fall, I just want to let you know how excited we are to welcome you to campus. And one of the first things that Deano and I do are set up it's kind of a speed dating event. And it's not to set you up with a future spouse, although we could, I guess, work that into our future plans, but it really is to help you connect with your first speech event or your first debate event, where you really then dive deeper into some of the stuff we talked about tonight in terms of the speech events or the debate events. And so that's kind of what our next steps will be in August. And so as you start to be getting excited about those things, and if you have more questions and want to learn more about them, feel free to message Deano or message me. But no, that's kind of the first thing we do at that first practice in August. And Deano, would you want to say anything more about that?
No, I really enjoy that event. It gives you a chance to, if you've done policy debate, you don't need to go to the Lincoln Douglas speed dating event. That's more for, hey, I wonder what they do in mock trial. I wonder what ethics bowl is like. Oh, I wonder what an interpreter does. And it's okay for you to go to that session and then run screaming from the room and say, I never want to do that. That's okay. Part of that activity is to say as much, what do you want to try, but also maybe what you don't want to try. So that you don't have to go to a tournament to find that out. You can talk to students about it. I put my email address in the chat window. So if you do have any specific follow-up questions on speech that you think about tonight, just copy it over or make a note of it. And most of you, I recognize your names. I know Spencer's been communicating with quite a few of you on a regular basis. But Spencer's posted his, so you can certainly text him, and I'll post my cell number in there as well, and you can certainly text me, and we can get your questions answered. We really want to hear from you. And if you've committed, you know that you're coming to Simpson and you're a senior and you're ready to get started. I just talked to a student who is not on the Zoom tonight, but who is definitely coming to Simpson, and we talked for an hour, and we've got a game plan set up for her individual events already for this fall. So we've got several good ideas, and we had a Zoom call for an hour just this past week to get that set up. So please do that as well. More than happy to chat with you and start working with you right now.
Great, awesome. Yeah, so make sure you take note of Deano's email and phone number, and Spencer's as well. Reach out to them, reach out to us, your admissions counselors, at any time. Really appreciate for Deano, Kylie, and Spencer joining us tonight and giving us all this in-depth information about the program. Again, like they all said, we're really excited to have you all be part of our Simpson community in the fall, and look forward to working with you more, and hopefully you join us for more of these virtual events. Otherwise, we hope you have a good rest of your night, and thank you all for coming. Bye.